Today we're going to be taking my Turbo Integra to the next level by installing these two parts, flex fuel and a boost controller. Right now my Turbo Integra is making about 200 horsepower on about 8 PSI of boost right now. 0 boost controller, that's 91. And honestly, I have to get retuned anyways because I have new injectors in the car. So I figured if I'm gonna go and get retuned, I might as well get a boost controller so I can up those PSI numbers and go flex fuel so I can up those horsepower numbers. So what is flex fuel? Why would you want to run it? Well, basically, you can run E85 without the flex fuel sensor, but what that's going to do is every time you want to switch over gas types, you need to swap over your map manually, and then you need to drain the gas. But with flex fuel, that's going to allow us to run basically both at the same time. So if I'm on E85 and then I can't find an E85 gas station, I'm in the middle of nowhere, well, I can like mix, and then the sensor is gonna determine the content, and then it's going to adjust the map based on that sensor. So I guess it just makes things way more convenient and it makes your life easier. So that's why we're installing it. And then after I saw how easy it was to install that sensor, I figured, okay, let's do it. The reason for the boost controller is because, well, right now, the spring on the Integra, the wastegate spring, is only 8 PSI. And that is not nearly enough PSI to make some big power. So when you add a boost controller, you can basically make more boost with the controller. I don't really know how it works, but I know that adding a controller can like add more pressure with a smaller spring, but also E85 uses more boost. So instead of just upgrading the spring, we can just get this guy and then it'll work. So I have the flex fuel sensor, which is an OEM GM part that I got on Amazon. And then I also have a little connector guy for it. So we'll have to hook this up to the ECU, power ground. And then with the Mac valve here, this is a very popular boost controller, but guys, I'm not gonna lie, I think this is a fake. So if you guys don't know anything about these Mac valve boost controllers, I guess these are like wildly counterfeited. And I think this is one of them because the back says it's a 32 series boost controller valve, but in the box it says it's supposed to be a 35. Not only that, but some of the spelling on the original box was wrong. So I don't think this is legit. I think this is fake. Regardless, I'm still going to mount it, and then I'm also still going to wire it up and then vacuum port it before I return it and see if I can get a real one. And if you guys don't know, I recently just swapped over to these ID 1050s. I got rid of the Hunter tuned injectors that were in there previously. These are the $200 1000cc budget injectors. They failed on me when I was 900 miles away from home. That really sucked. So far, the ID 1050s have been much better. I think with the E85, with the boost controller, we can add like an extra 150 horsepower just on that stock non-VTEC motor. So let's get this car up in the air and get to work. Okay, so I got my 2 wires pulled in to the passenger footwell here. And so now I've got my diagram up and we need to tap in to let me see. We need to tap into A25 and A11, I believe, according to this article here. So A25, A11, so we basically just gotta find that wire and then we'll just not cut it, but we'll just open it up, right? Open it up and then just take this guy and like tee it in there. And then that is the boost controller all hooked up. So this one, this brown looking one should be A25 according to this diagram that I may or may not be reading correctly, but only one way to find out. Just like that. See how I exposed the wire? Oh, focus please. Cool. So I'm just wrapping it around and then I'm going to electrical tape it before I solder it. So I'm literally just gonna leave that like that, and I am gonna solder it once everything's plugged in, and then I can plug my laptop into the ECU and verify everything works, then I'll solder it. So this one should be A11 right here. This black and red wire. Okay, so 2 wires are connected to their appropriate pins. They are just wrapped around, no soldering just yet. So that should be all good. Okay, boost controller is wired up. All right, you guys are not gonna believe this, but I was looking at the pinout diagram completely backwards, okay? So you're supposed to look at the pins like from this angle. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was looking at it from this angle, and I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I thought this was the last one. Whatever, man. I don't know. So, rookie mistake on my part. Also, I realized that this pin right here, this is not A11. A11, the pin that I was trying to get to, is actually empty. So if we look at it closer, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That one right there that's empty, that is A11 right there. So I didn't know that. I got a new pin, and I'm gonna stick this pin into the correct A11 spot, and then wire this wire up there. Then this wire can stay there at the A25 spot, and then the boost controller should finally work. That's why it hasn't been working, because I had it pinned wrong. I returned the old boost controller that I got, and I replaced it with this Hondata 4-port. So this one's a real Mac Valve branded Hondata brand, and it's a 4-port instead of a 3. So that's pretty cool. Even comes with a diagram on how to plumb it. So external wastegate diagram, pretty easy to follow. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this pin and then wire it up and then turn it on to see if everything works. I've been trying to get this boost controller to work for weeks now. It's been about 3 weeks in between all these clips. That's why I haven't uploaded in a month. But guys, I think I finally figured out what was wrong. So you probably can't see the screen here. Let me turn this light on. So basically, I had one of the sensor wires pinned to A11. Now, apparently A11 works, I guess, for like the OEM ECU, but for the Link ECU, I was supposed to be on pin A17, which is the auxiliary 6 output. So I pinned it to A17, and then I have one wire going to the boost solenoid. And then this is also where I messed up. I had the second wire going to a 12-volt source, which is this wire right here. That was wrong. So instead, I pinned it to ground. That seems to have worked. Let me show y'all. Let's do test on. Now if we go to the solenoid, you hear that? It's working. I really can't believe it took me like 3 weeks to figure out that boost solenoid issue, but now that it's working, I'm gonna go ahead and route the wires, and then we can move on to the ethanol content sensor. All right, so I got the boost controller mounted, kinda. I just got this like metal bracket from like Amazon, and then I just screwed it into an existing 10 mil hole that was already here, and then I used the included screws to attach the solenoid to the bracket. Boom, so turbo vacuum line on that side. So according to this diagram, the A side goes to the top of the wastegate, so A side is top, B is bottom, so we'll grab the bottom of the wastegate, just like this, and then we'll route it underneath. Hopefully it's long enough. There we go. And then top of the wastegate, this guy right here, will come to the A side. Boom. I also just realized that I attached the boost solenoid wires together instead of adding a plug. So the only way that this boost solenoid's coming out is if I cut it out. So, but that'll be a problem for when it ever needs to come out. This hose right here, this is where I'm gonna cut into for the sensor. And then this is what the sensor looks like. I'm gonna cut off the fuel return line, and then I'm going to just put this in between the hoses, and then we'll run the wires, and then that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna use these guys to clamp it down. So hopefully we don't make too much of a mess here. I've got my hose cutters. Okay, looks like the hose and my plug are the same size. We are off to a great start. My fuel sensor holes, plugs are the exact same size as the fuel return line hose. So, shit. I know that some people use like swap AN lines, AN fittings. I ain't gonna do that. I just wanted to put this in the middle. So, with that being said, I don't really know what to do. Things never go to plan, do they? Maybe I should have done my research. I don't know, I just kind of do things. Check it out. So we have flex fuel sensor, and then we have big hose, and then we've got a little adapter thing, and then this is gonna fit the small hose. So then that is just gonna go like that. Oh yeah. Cool. I didn't really make a straight cut, so hopefully that doesn't bite me in the ass later, but yeah, we then just tighten that guy down. Look at that. Yes, I flipped him around. Forgot to do that, but guys, that's tight. That is tight on there. Now I'm gonna do the other side. This is the fuel pressure line right here, and then it goes down, which connects into the sensor, which is right here. Then it attaches back in there with more worm clamps and adapters, and just like that. So I'm just gonna have it hanging there, and then we're gonna plug it in and then route the wires. But let's go start the car and see if it leaks. I just rubbed my finger all over the fittings and I don't find any leaks. I don't see no leaks, so I smell a little bit of fuel, but we should be fine. Pretty dry. I mean, we'll know like when we start the car and like actually run it, but we just ran fuel through it, so it's all good. All right, here is the plug for the flex fuel sensor. We have 3 wires. We have the red one, which is switched 12 volt power. Then we have black as ground, and then white is going to be the signal. Let's go ahead and get my wires, extend these up, plug it in, and then turn on the laptop. I am getting faulty error. Don't know why. I'm getting a little mad because it should be working. I have everything wired correctly. I triple checked it this time, and I even used my multimeter. So we're getting signal, we're getting power. I don't know why it's not working, bro. Nothing ever works. Y'all rock with the ink? That's pretty tough. All right, a few weeks later, finally received this Link expansion loom. Really cool. So this is basically going to plug directly into our ECU, and then it gives us all of these extra wires, auxiliary signal, power, CAN, whatever, digital input, auxiliary input. So you can add a bunch of gauges, a bunch of sensors with this thing without actually having to tap in and hack into the stock wiring harness. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this thing in the car, wire up the sensor to this, and we'll finally see if it starts working. Guys, it looks like my theory was correct. Look at that. Active ethanol sensor. Active ethanol percentage 10. 91 here in California does use about 10% ethanol. So the fact that it recognizes that means it's pretty accurate. Now that everything is working, I'm gonna go ahead and solder all the wires in place, clean up this whole mess, and then we should be good. Yep, we're officially ready for the dyno. We got the boost controller mounted up, wired, plumbed, and we have the ethanol sensor down here, wired up, plumbed, ready to go, no leaks. So the next video that you see of this car should hopefully be on the dyno. So with that said, look out for that video. We're gonna make some cool power with this, show you guys all what a non-VTEC block can handle, and it'll be super cool. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.